It is the Adam Gold Show. How you doing? I am Adam Gold. I think I bear some responsibility for yesterday.
Oh, no.
Yes, I do, and I will explain why as we move through. Welcome to your Friday. All right, let's have it now. Just get it out of the way.
It's a Friday.
There you go. That's Victoria. I wanted to get that out of the way now.
And the sun's out. It was
It's
waiting
beautiful.
just for me
Gosh.
to say Friday.
Gorgeous day.
I know.
Gorgeous
After
day.
a couple dreary ones. But that's
Yeah.
okay.
Unfortunately, not all Carolinas won
No.
yesterday.
Not yesterday.
I did. When the show's over, I do promos for the next day. So one runs between the end of the show and midnight, and the other one runs from midnight through the start of the show. And I just went, Carolina, Duke, State, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because I know what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And, I probably made some reference to everybody winning. And, well,
Well, you don't need to bear that burden. You just were throwing some good juju out there.
I was trying. I don't believe, people know this now, I don't believe in curses. I don't believe in jinxes. I don't believe that if I say something that the opposite will happen.
Right.
I don't believe that. Like, I have no control over it. And I'm not saying that I'm judging you if you believe I do, or if you believe in you believe what you want to believe. I'm not going to judge you. I will not partake.
Right.
Like, I don't believe in NC State stuff. I don't believe in that. Never have. Everybody who knows me understands that.
Mm-hmm.
I have no time for illogical things. But there's a lot of illogical things to me that are not illogical to you. So I'm not going to disparage you believing that it exists or any of that stuff exists.
Sure. To each their own.
So last night was hard for a lot of people. But on the other side, for some Carolina fans, last night was great.
Yes.
There are two Carolinas.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to get into all of it. And today's actually a big day. The Braves start today. We're actually going to talk a little bit about the Braves. Probably be like 10 minutes of Brave stuff, maybe 8 minutes of Brave stuff.
There are people who would be excited for that.
Absolutely. Baseball season is here. The Bulls start today.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, yes.
They're on the road, right?
Yes.
They're not here, so they're not going to bask in this glorious 919 sunshine.
No.
Which we hope still exists for the two teams playing in Texas tonight. We'd love to see State and Duke advance to meet each other for the third time this year.
That would be fun.
The rivalry that we didn't know we needed.
Exactly.
Right? So that would be awesome. Heck, it would be great if one of them won.
Yes.
Right? Just one of you.
That's what I'm hoping
Right?
for.
So we just need one of you to give us something to look forward to on Sunday.
Yes.
Because I ain't watching the final round of whatever the Houston Open is.
No.
Right?
No.
I'm just not. And the Hurricanes don't play on Sunday. So other than that, I have stuff to do. Oh, man.
There's always something to do.
We got a title fight. No, there is a legit title fight on Sunday.
Oh, my gosh. We're not talking about MMA,
No,
are we?
we're not.
Because there is a card.
There is. I know there is. And that I'm sure we're going to hear that in Place Your Bets.
You betcha.
But legit title fight on Sunday that we will get to. But, man, I know people are down. So we're going to try to explain things to you to make it easier and to ease your anger.
Yes.
Because I know there are people who are angry. I'm not going to engage with angry. I do that with Hurricanes fans. I don't do that with other fans.
No.
I'm not here for you with that. All right, let's go. All right. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Who wrote that? That was Dickens, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Dickens did not write either. He's not a sports writer.
No.
The Tar Heels did not bring their A game
Not at all.
Against Alabama, right? We said at the beginning of the tournament that you can get away, for North Carolina, they could get away week 1 without their fastball. But when you get to the second week, if you're not ready, and ready is probably not the right word, if you don't have your A game, you're going to get beat.
Yeah.
Flat out. You cannot advance out of the Sweet 16 without your fastball. And they didn't have it. They did not have it last night.
Not in that second half, for sure.
Well, they didn't have it in the first half either, and I will explain why. Alabama was too big. They were too athletic. They were too strong. They were too loose. Don't underestimate the fact that it's not house money, but they knew who the pressure was on. And they were too good, as it turned out.
Yeah.
Outstanding basketball team, well coached, presented a ton of problems for UNC. I want to run down, well, we're going to hear from R.J. Davis here in just a second. Because there are people who say they lost because R.J. Davis went 4 of 20, went 0 for 9 from three-point range. Only game all year he didn't make a three.
Exactly.
Stunning. All of that is stunning. Part of that was good defense. Part of that was R.J. Davis missed shots. But if I have taught everybody anything about good defense, great defense in basketball, is that even when it's not there, it's there. If you have established great defense, it is cumulative. Anyway, here's R.J. Davis on Riley Griffin and the job that guy did.
He's a good player. He's a good defensive player with his length and height, but at the same time, I had a lot of open looks that I normally knock down. I'm able to make. Just the ball didn't go my way in today's game. Usually it does. I was confident, and one thing my teammates did throughout the whole game was just pick me up and told me to continue to keep shooting. But sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way. But yeah.
Look, Griffin is 6'6". He's got long arms.
Yeah.
R.J. Davis is not 6'6".
No.
So the length mattered. And did Davis miss some open threes? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure that in a different set of circumstances, he makes them.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't like he was clanging them, like he was missing everything.
No.
Right?
He's right. He's a human.
Right.
Sometimes you have good days and bad days.
And the defense that Griffin played throughout, I insist, has a cumulative effect.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that many open looks, right? It's not like 7 of the 9 were open. Like 3 of them. 4 of them maybe. But when you play good defense, it matters. It has a lingering effect.
Yeah, he definitely had pressure.
So R.J. Davis is an 0 for 9 and 4 for 20 isn't the reason they lost. They didn't lose because Hubert Davis had a weird substitution pattern. Hey, Paxton Wojcik on the court a lot in the second half, late. Why?
Yeah.
And Davis's explanation was he's a good shooter. Mm-hmm. I thought we needed shooting.
We need baskets.
Right? Yeah. Well, they wanted to stretch the floor and create some opportunity for R.J. Davis. Did they lose because Armando Bacot? Did they lose because Bacot was uncharacteristically inefficient and even missed a dunk?
He did. That encapsulated the whole game for them.
But I'm here to tell you that no, that isn't why they lost.
No.
It isn't why they lost. With everything that didn't go right, the Heels had a 75-70 lead with just over 6 minutes to play. They led by 1 with the ball and 90 seconds to go. They lost because they didn't win the moments of the game. I try to take these and apply other sports when we watch other sports and think, because all sports boils down to the same thing. It boils down to moments, key sequences in any game. So I'm going to use the tennis analogy I have used 1,000 times. When you look at a tennis match and you look at the stats at the end of a tennis match, even if it is a one-sided match in terms of the score, The overall points won doesn't generally have a big disparity, but the better player on that day will win the key points. And last night, Alabama won the key points.
Yeah.
Whether it's just to keep them, in the game or to steal momentum back. Alabama won almost all of those points. And I'll run through a few of them. So, who was it? They had, what it was, 70-64. Rylan Griffin, the defender, who was 5 of 8 from three-point range, by the way, makes a three, open look, right? 70-64, if you play defense, get a stop, now you're in control of the game. But that three sucked the momentum right back because it was after a Baycott dunk.
Yeah.
Right? Or a layup. I thought it was a dunk.
Right after.
Right?
Yeah.
15 seconds.
Maybe, yeah.
Right?
It's
Griffin
crazy.
knocks down a three. If you just defend better right there, maybe get a stop, go down and get another bucket. Even if you don't get another bucket, right? You keep your momentum. Aaron Estrada's 5-point run on his own after the Cormac Ryan three made it 75-70. All of a sudden, it's 75 apiece.
Yeah.
Right? So every time UNC looked like they were going to do something good, Alabama had an answer. And those are the moments that Carolina did not win. And then, man of the match, Grant Nelson.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
7-0 run on his own. Puts the Tide up by 5, right? With under 4 to go. UNC calls timeout. We go to break. We come back. And what did UNC do? They drove the ball. Drove it. Withers, Davis, pull-up jumper. Davis gets to the free throw line. All of a sudden, Carolina went on an 8-0 run and led by 3. And you let Mark Sears inside for a layup.
They did.
It was too easy, right? Again, a chance to win a moment, couldn't do it. Couldn't win the moment. And from there, you allowed Alabama, you gave them confidence.
They had all the momentum in the world.
Right? It should have been 8-0. Now, granted, they needed stops for the 8-0 run. You're never going to stop a team altogether. Okay, so Sears makes the layup. 90 seconds left. Man, run a good set. Get the ball to Baycott. Get the ball to Davis to drive. Get to the free throw line. Just get yourself some points, right? Davis is double teamed, gives the ball up to Jalen Withers. Is like 18 seconds on the shot clock. What are you doing, Jalen?
Yeah.
Why are we shooting that?
Terrible shot.
So much time on the clock. You don't have to shoot. Or if you're going to do something, and he had tons of room, which is why he shot it, drive it. Go inside, make the defense collapse, and then find somebody else.
Yeah.
But the reason they lost the game, it comes down to this. They lost their poise. They did. No, and if you watch the game, and I know most of you did, right? They looked like the more rushed, panicked team.
They did.
Even when it was just a 1-point game. When they were down 1 with the ball, they looked like the more rushed or a 2-point game, I think, at that point. Like, why did R.J. Davis have to do everything?
Yeah.
It's almost as though they forgot that Ryan, Ingram, Baycott were big parts of what they did offensively.
And Ryan was hitting some shots, too.
He was, right? Cormac Ryan hit 5 threes.
Yeah.
Harrison Ingram, not as good, but he wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Baycott, again, not a super efficient game for him, but late in the game, it can't simply be, hey, give the ball to Will.
Yeah.
Right? You can't run the Bel Air Academy offense and beat a team in the Sweet 16. But it seemed like that's what Carolina's mindset was. Just give the ball to RJ. And again, it ain't about 0 for 9. Throw that away. Because Davis made great plays down the stretch to keep them in it. It was really, really unfortunate the way they kind of went away offensively. They lost their way. But the real reason, other than the poise, was that what are they built on? They're built on defense. Where was they didn't defend. And
Disappeared.
even in the first half, yeah, Carolina led 51-46. Alabama got what they wanted. North Carolina didn't bring their fastball defensively. And when you're built on defense, if you don't play your game defensively, you're asking too much from your offense to score their way out of it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't. Alabama shot over 40% from three-point range, which is better than they shot during the course of the season. They're a very good two-point shooting team, but still, they shot almost 48% from the field.
Yeah.
So
felt like a lot.
Yeah, it was a difficult defensive game. And Armando Bacot was disappointed with the way the whole thing came to an end.
Yeah, I'm definitely hurt, and I think we all are a little shocked. We don't underestimate any opponent, and I think today, it was tough, but all year we play hard, and today we play hard, and they just made more shots than us, and it's tough. Losing is not the result we want, especially with just how talented we are as a team, and felt like we had a chance to win the national championship this year, but I wouldn't change anything that happened all year. It was a special year just with teammates, coaches. It was just for me personally, a restored sense of funness. Just my love for the game just grows so much. I'm gonna miss everything about just being with this team, the coaches. I've been knowing this is the last time I'll play for them. It definitely hurts.
It's Armando Bacot, who had just a remarkable, incredible career. And there's nothing else to say other than that. He had an incredible career, was a great ambassador for UNC. R.J. Davis, same thing. I think Davis, if he wanted to come back, he could. I think he's got another year thanks to COVID.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what he's going to do. If R.J. wanted to come back and play another year, by all means, man, love to watch you play. And he might have in his mind some unfinished business when it comes to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out well. It didn't work out the way they wanted. And here's Hubert Davis in the final stretch of the game.
Well, always in the closing minutes, it comes down to a play here and there. I've talked all season about the little details that make big things happen, not just necessarily shots. Rebounds, free throws, loose balls. At the end of the day, they made down the stretch more plays than us, and unfortunately, we came out on the short end.
Grant Nelson, by the way. Oh, my gosh. 12 of Alabama's final 14 points.
Yeah.
12 of the final 14. 3 blocks. He had 2 blocks in the defensive around his own basket. And then after he missed the second free throw, he blocked the Harrison Ingram heave attempt.
Yeah, Hail Mary.
Like, what are you? Wow.
Where's that going?
Does that even count as a blocked shot?
I know.
It might not. I don't know. I don't know if it does or not. It should.
Yeah.
So he was remarkable, and they didn't have an answer for him. And again, their defense was not vintage this year's Carolina defense, and that's ultimately where they lost the game. Clemson stunned Arizona in the first game last night. They beat them start to finish. Impressive stuff from Brad Brownell's club. And here's where, and again, I'm saying this facetiously because I don't believe it, but if you were going to assign blame, here's where I would be blamed. When Clemson beat Arizona, I tweeted out, imagine how this trash ACC, right? Basically everything but, eat it.
Yeah.
And I should have waited until, North Carolina would have won if I didn't tweet that. I'm convinced of it. Right. Anyway, so good for Clemson, good for Brad Brownell.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Clemson and Alabama. It sounds like a college football playoff championship game.
Would love to know how many people had that on their bracket.
Yeah, probably not a lot.
Yeah.
Clemson, Alabama for a spot in the Final Four. Look, it's been I think Alabama's been to one Final Four. I don't think Clemson's ever been to a Final Four. Clemson's had some really good basketball teams. This would be an awesome run for the Tigers, but man, Alabama looked awfully good last night. All right, to the other. Duke and State both play. State plays like at just 10 after 7. Duke will play probably close to 10 o'clock tonight. They're both in Dallas. We'll talk to Brett Friedlander about it in a little less than an hour. All right, the other Carolina did what was expected.
Yes.
Right? All right, so.
Break the X's out.
That's what I refer to them.
Yes.
X-Carolina.
Right.
X-Canes Corner Podcast. We're available wherever you get your podcast. Go check it out. X-Aftermath.
X_V_.
Did you change your?
I should. I got to figure out how to do it. Like we said,
I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do
idea.
that. I just leave it alone. But there are a lot of people that do it routinely and find. I'm not. I don't hate that at all.
No.
So, 6 years in a row for the playoffs, and this is kind of the approach I took on the podcast after, and I've received a lot of positive feedback about it because I think it was it was a moment to celebrate. Not that it's the ultimate celebration. It's sort of like when a team wins a wild card round in baseball and they break out champagne. That's a little much for me. But I think it's part of a deal that Major League Baseball has with, I don't know, Moet.
Maybe the goggle company that
Right.
they use for the goggles when they
Frisianet.
Yeah.
That's a Major League Baseball deal. I have no idea. By the way, Frisianet is sneaky good. So it's just clinching a playoff spot, right? It was inevitable. But I think it carries a fair amount of significance, too. And here's why I believe that. It ain't easy to do it year after year after year.
Nope.
It just isn't. So here's the list of teams that have made the playoffs for at least 6 consecutive years. Boston, Colorado, Tampa, Toronto, Carolina.
Yes.
That's the list. It ain't easy. The Rangers haven't.
Right. No.
Right? The Rangers have not. The Capitals have not, obviously. The Penguins have not. Vegas has not.
Nope. Oilers have not.
No. So it ain't easy.
Nope.
To do it year after year after year after year. And what we're seeing is not only year after year, but the trajectory of how they're doing it better each year, right? This year, regular season doesn't quite look better than last year's regular season, right? But where are we right now with this team?
That's
I
what's
think the
important.
Hurricanes are in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah.
And if you go back and you look at last year at this stage, they were kind of not flatlining, but they were plateauing.
Mm-hmm.
This team is the opposite of plateauing. They are on the rise. And I think you should all feel very good about the way things are heading into the playoffs. I will provide this caveat. It doesn't matter. You can be playing great going into the playoffs. It is a new season.
Anything can happen.
Absolutely. The team has, it's hard to say the best culture in the league, but let's just say it is a culture that is conducive to winning, right? And they've done this year over year over year. The team is good.
Yes.
Really good.
And fun.
Super fun. The top line is crazy good right now. Seth Jarvis is as big a part of it as anybody, and he's talking about the chemistry on that team.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's been great to get to play with them. They're obviously two really high-end players, so it's been fun to play with them, fun to hang out with them, and I think it's just only better things to come.
I wonder if Jake Gensel hangs out with Seth Jarvis. I don't see
know.
it. Jake seems a little bit too serious about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I talked to Seth before the game. He's an absolute blast to be around. And by the way, they had another good night. Jarvis, a goal and 2 assists. Aho, a goal and 2 assists. Gensel, 2 assists, 2 posts. Can I just, before we break, we're going to break here. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk to Brian Geisinger about what happened last night and what he's looking for today. I mean, Jake, if you score a goal, then the three-way parlay works.
Yes, it does.
I mean, if you score a goal, Jake.
See, all I needed him was an assist. I needed just an assist. So
He had two.
He checked that box
He had
for
two
me.
assists.
I just needed one.
Jake! Come on!
I know.
Oh!
Yeah, it's brutal.
The second post is the one that hurt because that's a goal.
Exactly.
The second post was the...
I know.
And the second one, he just shook his head like, I may never score again.
Yeah.
So
Then you got Brady Shea out here just like...
Oh, that was just that was a joke.
Exactly.
The Brady Shea goal was a joke.
Oh, it was
like
fantastic.
He didn't really want to carry it into the zone, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to. Then he shot it wide of the net, I think on purpose, and then went and got it. I mean, how does that happen, Detroit?
Why not?
How did you let that happen?
I know.
Right? And all he did was throw it right in front of the net, and it caromed off of the inside of the outside pad of Reimer and in. So.
I was shocked. I actually thought the Red Wings were going to bring more of a struggle last night than they did. At least a little more defense.
The power play goal ended the game.
Yeah.
The second goal, like, oh, man, we're not scoring 2 on these guys. Or we're not scoring 3 on these guys.
Not scoring 1.
Yeah, they didn't have much of an offer after that. All right, when we come back, Brian Geisinger, our guy, Mr. Basketball, on last night and tonight. Next.
But I know y'all wanted that 808. Can you feel that BASS, baby? I like the way you move. I like the way you move. Woo, I love the way you move. I love the way.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Look at our bracket. It's not nearly as pretty as I thought it would be. They did not know. So who didn't advance Alabama and Clemson and Illinois and UConn?
I know.
Who's in charge of that? Is that Joe? Is that
might be
Video
Video
Joe?
Joe, yeah.
Come on, get on it, man. We got games. I mean, it sucks.
It's not updated.
I know we're all in denial that Carolina lost, but come on, let's get the bracket updated. Brian Geisinger, our man, Mr. Basketball at bgeis_bird. I'm just calling you that from now on because people follow you on Twitter. They'll be inundated with all the information that is important. I read basically everything you write, so I pretend that it's mine. But all right, let's get to it. Was it I don't think it's about R.J. Davis or Armando Bacot being inefficient, not making enough shots. I thought it was about Carolina's defense not being what it needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, this was a top 10 unit all season that had, been pretty good, but as we've discussed, was sort of better than the sum of its parts, I think, just in terms of everyone being really bought in and executing the scheme at a high level. I mean, I know Bacot was all defense in the ACC, but Gold, let's be real, he's not a top 5 defender in the ACC.
Right.
They needed someone from UNC to be all defense, and he became the guy, sort of by default. He's turned into a very good, college defensive center, but this thing was about scheme and them buying into it, and then you run into a machine like Alabama that's playing with such incredible pace. They've got 2 really good veteran guard, shot makers with Mark Sears and Aaron Estrada who hit huge shots. So even without Latrell Wrightsell last night, they still got all of this incredible, shooting and offensive creation. And then Grant Nelson, he's kind of an experience as a player. He has not shot it really well this season.
No.
But he was great in his role defensively last night, getting to roam when playing off of Cadeau and Trimble. And that's actually one of the things I did want to bring up. But also, his ability to go at switches in the pick and roll, his face-up game was good. He hit a couple of threes.
Yep.
He was a matchup problem for them last night. And again, a guy that sort of similar skill set wise with Filipowski. They've done a nice job on Flip this year for the most part. But is a guy that has had his moments against UNC and is a tough matchup piece. But for me, this really came down to not just Bama's pace and the shot making, which was ridiculous. And then certainly you can pick out a handful of plays from down the stretch, the Jalen Withers 3, the Bacot missed dunk, the RJ having a tough game, obviously. But for me, it really was just this team, we talked about it. I brought it up literally last week when we were talking about UNC. The Elliot Cadeau, Seth Trimble factor. 2 really good players, right?
Yeah.
2 downhill drivers, and Cadeau is has incredible passing. I thought he threw a couple really nice passes last night. But all season we've seen teams dial up a little bit more how they were going to play off of Cadeau.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, boom, there's Nate Oates, who, is mathematically inclined, takes a lot of his stuff from the NBA. Right. He's going to take his rim protector and sink him in the paint and have him, in air quotes, guard Cadeau,
right.
guard Trimble, right? And then just be able to, double team any Bacot, post touch, block shots from behind, take away cutting lanes.
Yeah.
And I just thought that, UNC in the second half, Hubert really went to some lineups he hasn't played much this season with Paxton Wojcik because he was worried about the spacing concerns with Trimble and Elliot Cadeau.
Yeah, that's what jumped out to a lot of people. Why are they? Why is Paxton Wojcik getting all of this burn at the end of the game? Where are the guys we normally play? And I understand the mindset, but I also know what Hubert was trying to do. He was trying to get Alabama's defense to honor other players. My only problem, first of all, the Jalen Withers. I mean, that was an ill-advised three. There's just no way to get around it. I understand he made a big layup that right out of the timeout to cut the 5-point lead to 3. I mean, I'm there. But with 18 on the shot clock, to take that right there is just that's like if he had so much room, he could have driven it, and that would have been a much better decision. Even if he doesn't make the shot, at least it's a much better decision. Maybe you get to the free throw line, maybe the defense collapse, you find somebody else. And then other than that, I felt like their entire offensive approach the last 2 minutes was just get the ball to R.J. Davis and let him. Where was everybody? Where was the creativity to get Baycott the ball? Maybe create and kick it out to Ryan or even Ingram. It was all about letting R.J. Davis work.
Yeah, and Ingram was awesome last night. Harrison Ingram was phenomenal, and I would have liked more of him down the stretch for UNC. And look, it was especially tough too because Alabama's. I know RJ was able to draw some fouls, and the Alabama, the big men screen defenders were being very physical with him, and that was how he was able to get contact a couple of times. But like that was part of why I thought UNC needed to get some more downhill juice on the court, like Cadeau or Trimble, because Alabama was just teeing off on him, guarding pick and roll. They were hedging the first screen, and then if they would flip the screen, they were then in drop or they were in switch. But it was that hedge. They were just taking away the initial turn every time. I kind of thought they would try to go, through Baycott in the post a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I understand some of the spacing concerns, but I thought the fact that I thought that was sort of the point of having Wojcik out there is that okay, Alabama has to be at least in quasi traditional defensive coverages here. This isn't an auto double. There's not just a roaming free safety, 7-footer help defender in the lane at all times. And I just thought going through him, going through Ingram, that probably would have been a little bit better. Look, I think Hubert Davis is a phenomenal coach. I really think he's quite good. But his second down the stretch, especially the second half, the lineups were a little, I get it, but I thought there should have been some adjustments there. And I thought some of the play calling where it was they're trying to either go floppy action or high pick and roll with Davis. And I just thought just didn't think it was getting quite enough traction. And despite all of that, they still almost won the game. It was still a coin toss, despite all of these things.
They had the ball with 90 seconds left. They had the ball and a 1-point lead, right? It was there for them. So when they lost because Baycott and Davis combined for this or Davis went 0 for 9. Nah, that ain't why they lost because they almost won in spite of it. You're a tennis fan. I keep using it in these terms. They lost the moments. They lost the big points. They had a chance to break serve, didn't do it. And then if you don't break Djokovic, you ain't going to beat him. To me, that's why they lost the game. It sucks because I do think this team was good enough to win a title. I would have loved to have seen Seth on the court because Trimble to me was their best perimeter defender. He and Cormac Ryan. And they needed just one more guy to stop Mark Spears. That drive that cut the 3-point lead to 1 just looked too easy to me. But
also the reason why I wanted Trimble too was because I was thinking if you go high pick and roll with Davis, and if Alabama's hedging that, then the defense is in rotation. So all RJ needs to do is whip a pass to Trimble in the slot or on the wing. And he's such a great downhill driver, slasher. Yeah. He can just go downhill against a tilted defense and try to get to the rim. That to me was sort of the one piece of another piece of low hanging fruit that they just never got to. And I would have liked to have seen Trimble in that capacity last night.
All right, let's see if we can hit the 2 games tonight real quick. State and Marquette is first. What is the key, do you think, for the Wolfpack?
Yeah, Marquette's a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
Right.
This is a really good team. Offensively, this is a well-tuned, pick and roll machine. They play fast. They run a lot of early offense, ball screen, pistol action into an empty court. A lot of guard screening actions. Try to get a switch with Kolek, then Kolek goes into an empty corner ball screen with Oso Igudero. who, these are all like, NBA, prospects.
Right.
Cam Jones is an excellent secondary ball handler. They use him as a guard, as a screener a lot, but he can come off screens himself and shoot. He can create on his own. And so it's going to be tough to figure out like how you want to handle all of that ball screen action. Like I assume Mo Diarra will start out on Nicodero as he sort of has on a lot of the sort of like more mobile, talented, front court screeners and initiators throughout the season. But Marquette's power forward, David Joplin, is good. And like he handles the ball, he can stretch, he can shoot. And like, so maybe you don't want DJ Burns guarding him, but if Burns is not guarding him, then he's going to be probably guarding Iguodala, and that means him having to navigate a bunch of pick and roll.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance like State, if they wanted to, could get really creative. I don't think they'll do this, but they could take a page out of Alabama's playbook last night and put DJ Burns on Stevie Mitchell, who is a like sub 30%, 3-point shooter at the guard in the guard room. I don't think they'll do that, but there's a chance. I think there's also a chance that like Middlebrooks and Diarra lineups are really important for State defensively.
Yeah.
Or Diarra or Middlebrooks in a 4-guard lineup, which we saw them sort of out of desperation at the end against Oakland go to when those two guys, Diarra and Middlebrooks, had fouled out. And then offensively, like I don't know how much Marquette you've seen this season, but you've definitely watched enough Shaka teams play over the years. Like they're incredibly athletic. They press some, they switch a lot defensively. I think sometimes they actually like almost auto switch too much stuff. They sometimes switch 1-5 ball screens. Sometimes Iguodala will hedge. They pretty much have been like an automatic post double team this year. So we'll see what that looks like, because like DJ Burns has been very good passing double teams this season. But Marquette's got so many athletes flying around, and it's so chaotic that, we'll see if Burns gets those double teams, like what the passes look like. I think that's a huge swing part of this. State's such a low turnover team offensively. We've talked about this goal. That's been like a hallmark of them all season, but especially down the stretch here. And Marquette's defense is all about turning you up in creating turnovers and creating fast break and creating these, secondary situations. So I think the way State handles the pressure, the way they handle the switch, if the post double teams come, what does the movement look like? What are the cuts? What do Burns' passes look like? And because they need that offensively, and I'm just fascinated to see like how this looks from a matchup standpoint. I think State has some buttons it can push and swing this thing in their favor, but it's going to be really hard against a very good Marquette team.
All right, let's try to spend 60 seconds if we can. I don't know how we do that. Duke Houston, is it as simple as Duke absolutely has to deal with Houston's physicality and their aggression defensively?
Yeah, in Houston is an incredibly physical and aggressive defense. They blitz ball screens. This is not like UNC where they've got Armando Bacot dropped into the paint. They're screen defenders. They're 4-5. Those guys are going to be above the level of the screen. And you'll also notice this too. They're guard defenders, the on-ball guys like Jamal Shed. They're going to look to like deflect every pass when the point guard tries to get it out of his hands when there's a double team and a blitz on the ball screens. That's how they get a lot of turnovers that way. So like this is going to be interesting to see how Kyle Filipowski can handle things either on the pick and pops or on the short roll. I think Duke's empty corner ball screens with McCain and flip or Roach and flip or Proctor and flip are a huge deal. And I think Mark Mitchell's got to be big time as like a cutter and like finish physically, because Houston's really, really tough, but you can get threes on them. They give up a lot of threes because there's so much, all the pressure. And you can get to the rim against them, but like they've got shot blockers there, even though they're not a very tall team, but you just got to be willing to battle and finish through contact. And so it's going to be tough for Duke, but they've definitely got some tools in the shed that they can use here.
Brian Geisinger, my man, Mr. Basketball at @BGeis_bird. See, Bob Euchre was Mr. Baseball, and you have a great sense of humor, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
Our Mr. Basketball. All right, sir. Enjoy the games. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, I'll see you guys just a bit outside next week.
Oh, that's very nice. Well done. Well done. Way to finish with a flourish. When we come back, no, we're not stretching. It's one-timers. Yes, questions and answers. Oh, I can't wait. Next.
Talk dirty to me. You talk dirty to me.
It's the Adam Gold Show. We'll get to Dallas. Brett Friedlander is down there for SaturdayRoad.com. He's got two teams to follow. Hopefully, at least one of them, would love to see both win, but hopefully at least one of them will advance to the Elite Eight. We'll
Yes.
see how it all works out.
I
But
know.
they are both underdogs tonight, so probably a better chance that none advance than even one advance.
Well, a lot of underdogs have been doing well so far in the bracket. So
Both underdogs won in Los Angeles yesterday,
Yep.
right? It's a Clemson, Alabama college football championship regional final
all
on
two people
Saturday.
had that, I'm sure. And
My
those
gosh.
are people who never watch college basketball and just happen to pick. They
All
like
right.
orange.
Well, all the news wasn't bad yesterday, and maybe that'll come up in one-timers.
You know it will. It's got to come
Yes.
up in one-timers. By the way, Video Joe totally heard us calling him out, so he changed the bracket.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So
All right.
next time we talk brackets, it'll be updated.
You got 19 minutes. Joe.
Yes, exactly.
19 minutes.
So it's good to go. But yes, we had some good news in North Carolina. Our Canes clinched a playoff spot. So, what is their momentum now moving forward to the playoffs?
I'll be interested to see how they come out tomorrow in Montreal. They have a 4-day break after that. And then at that point, I think it'll be 7 games. The last 7 games are all about becoming like
Playoff ready.
sharpened, honed for the playoff run. I mean, logically, Rangers have an easier closing schedule. Logically, you're not going to catch and pass the Rangers. Okay, but the entire run-in is all about making sure that when the playoffs begin, then you are on top of your game.
Right.
So, and honestly, I don't think Carolina is quite all the way there yet. They're still, they haven't had I think the way Rod wants it to look yet in terms of the lineup. I think it'll be Freddie Anderson in game 1, who's been amazing. But getting to your game and how that's what it is. That's what those 7 games are for.
Yeah. Well, with those 7 games, it's a combination of home games and away games.
Yes.
So what you've seen this season, do you think they do better at home, or does it matter one way or another for the Canes?
Well, I'd actually like to see it be a little bit more of a fortress than it's been, but they have been super good on the road.
Yeah.
Think about this. In the last 19 road games, 15-1-3.
It's good odds.
15-1-3. They lost the regulation in Pittsburgh. 15-2-3 in their last 20 road games.
Great odds.
That is incredible. To win 15 of your last 20 away from home, 15-5, because the overtime losses are losses, right?
Right. Try to win 15 bets now that we can't
no,
legally.
I can't win. I can barely win one. So if they can win 75% of their road games in the playoffs, which will not happen, they'll be. If you win one road game in a series, you
That's good.
probably win the series.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's always a good idea. So, speaking of goaltending, now we're probably going to see Kochetkov in net, I'm sure, versus the Canadiens.
Yes.
How important is this game, if for no other reason, just his mental?
I don't think he's played bad in the last 2 games. They just
No.
lost, right?
Right.
So, but I think it is important for everybody that Kochetkov turns in a good performance today. I think it is important for everybody because there's no guarantee. We've been around here. We know what Freddie is capable of doing, and that's getting hurt. So you've got to have both goalies ready. So I think it's important for Piotr to be on top of it all. All right, when we come back, hoops, a little pucks, and then we'll talk to Brett Friedlander next. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Opening day for the Braves today. Grant McCauley covers the Braves. Will join us. They're in Philadelphia. 3 o'clock start. Mets and Brewers will start at 1:40. I think the Mets season will be declared over by 1:48.
Oh,
I'm
no.
kidding. I'm kidding.
It's okay. If you set the bar low, then that's...
Yeah, I don't have huge expectations.
Well,
I really don't.
my Cubbies just ripped my heart out at the end.
Oh, they
Just
lose yesterday?
teased you.
I
Yeah,
didn't
they were
know.
leading, and then they went in an extra inning, and
Yeah,
lost.
I was excited. The Orioles won the first front end of my parlay yesterday,
Nice.
and then the Royals could not close the deal and win the game.
Not nice.
They lost 4-1 to the Twins. Shouldn't have put my faith in the Royals. That's my mistake. But this is what happens when you do that.
It happens.
It's why they don't call it stealing money.
You're right.
Remember how confident we all were about North Carolina minus 4.5?
And how much money people lost
Yeah.
on them not.
Chris Spatola was on yesterday. It's like he couldn't wait to sprint to his app.
Right. Yes.
I had already sprinted.
Yep.
I was winded.
Yeah.
They lost.
Right.
No, this
I
sucks.
know.
I really thought the Tar Heels were going to do it, and maybe I'll buy a win tonight for the Wolfpack.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we'll do
Maybe.
that. All right. Let's get to a second take on the news of the day. So I'll spend just a couple of minutes here on the Tar Heels since we're going to talk about them with Brett Friedlander. This was not about... It has a little to do with lineups, probably. Not probably. I think it does. They didn't get what they really wanted out of Paxton Wojcik because they didn't really use Wojcik to do what they wanted to do, which was stretch the defense. At that point, North Carolina was going to win that game with their bread and butter, which is their defense. And that's not the guy I would want to use if I'm trying to win the game with my defense. Now, I realize the theory behind Wojcik being on the court is supposed to make it more amenable. Oh, look, we got the...
It's updated.
Well, way to go, Video Joe.
Yes.
So, you want to create more room for Baycott. You want to space the floor better. Yeah, I mean, your offense the last 4 minutes was basically get the ball to Will and get out of the way. And Will meaning R.J. Davis. The Bel Air Academy offense probably wasn't a great idea. But that's what it felt like. It also felt like Carolina was in a panic. And to me, that's all about one team just being a little bit more comfortable based on the way the game is played. It's not that North Carolina hasn't been in tight games before. They have. They have generally come out on the good end of it. But last night, they were not in a good space. And they looked panicked to me in the second half.
Definitely looked like Alabama got in their kitchen, for sure.
I just think they just looked rushed. Everything was kind of, it was too frantic for it to be successful. And yet, with all of that, they still had the ball with a 1-point lead and 90 seconds to go. And Jalen Withers took a three, shouldn't have taken. Not that Jalen Withers can't take or make a three, but with a 1-point lead, a good possession was the most important thing, and that's a low percentage shot for Jalen Withers. If that's R.J. Davis, or, since Davis wasn't shooting well, if that's Cormac Ryan or Harrison Ingram, that's a good shot, even with 18 seconds on the shot clock. But it wasn't Harrison Ingram or Cormac Ryan. It was Jalen Withers. So that was an ill-advised shot, especially since it was clear that their whole goal at that point in the game was to get the ball to R.J. Davis. So it's a bad possession. It led to bad defense. And that I kind of think that Withers, who committed the foul that made the and one, that had you down 2 as opposed to down 1, I wonder if he was still thinking about the shot, because he is human. I'm sure he was still thinking about the missed shot
Yes.
when he went down on the other end of the court, because it was a little bit about reaction or lack thereof that led to the foul. So, tough way for Carolina season end. I hate it for them. I hate it for me.
Yes, and everyone involved.
All right. We move on to the other Carolina. So I'm going to speak specifically to the game last night rather than big picture this. If you want big picture thoughts on last night, let me direct you to the Canes Corner podcast.
Right.
Which is available wherever you get your podcast, and you can do anything you need to do, rate, subscribe, like, whatever, comment. It's okay. But to me, last night showed you how good the top line could be. Now, I don't think Detroit is a great defensive team. They really aren't. But they're not the worst defensive team. They are in a little bit of a tough stretch here. They have allowed a lot of goals over the last 3.5, 4 weeks. Like only twice in their last 13 games before last night, and now it's in their last 14 games. Only twice had they allowed fewer than 3 goals. So teams were scoring goals on them. Carolina didn't create a lot of, high danger opportunities in the first half. In the first period. In the second period, they did. And they scored 4 times. But that top line is on another planet right now. It's looking like maybe the best top line that Carolina has ever had. And that is with all respect to Stahl and Stillman and Recchi or whoever played on the top line, as Justin Williams sometimes, they did not have super set lines in 06. But then the puck comes out, Freddie kicks it out, puck pops up, Slavin bats it down, but because he was in the defensive zone, you can hand pass it to a teammate. You can't pick it up and throw it, but you can knock it down, and he did. Jarvis won a battle on the wall, got it up to Gensel, cross-ice pass to Aho for the goal. That just shows you that they know where each other are already. The next goal, which I think was the killer, was right after that Carolina got a power play, and Aho to Jarvis. It was actually Jarvis to Aho, back to Jarvis. A transition goal on the power play, and Jarvis, it looked too easy. Like, how does that happen so quickly? And once it got to 2-0, I thought you could sense that Detroit knew that there was nothing they could do. The third goal was, again, good wall battle won. Kuznetsov's pass, he has to hesitate at the blue line just to keep the play onside. Kuznetsov's pass across to Natchez was so good that Natchez didn't even have to hit the shot well, because his one-timer, I would say he got about 60% of it. But it's all right, because he had the whole net to shoot at. And that made it 3, and then the Brady Shea goal was just comical in that he was like, do you really want me to do this? All right, fine,
Okay,
I'll do
go
it.
ahead
There
and
you
do
go.
it.
Boom, off the wall. He gets his own rebound, puts it in, and it was 4-0. There was nothing Detroit had after that. Carolina just kind of what I called on the podcast a professional third period.
Right.
They just skated it out.
Yep.
Possess the puck, generate just enough offense to keep Detroit on their heels a little bit, and just skate out the period. Top line didn't even see the ice basically the last 6 minutes of the game. Didn't even need them. You guys take the rest of the night off. You did all the heavy lifting that we needed you to do in the second period. And that's what Carolina is right now. They have a great top line, and I thought the Stahl line was very good last night with Svechnikov and Teravainen. The second line with Kuznetsov scored a goal, but it otherwise was a little bit worrisome. But Freddie handled what Freddie needed to handle. And defensively, Carolina, in the blue line, in their own end, were exceptional. All right, Brett Friedlander's going to join us from Dallas. He's there with the Wolfpack and the Blue Devils, and I'm sure he's got thoughts on the Tar Heels next. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Busy segment here. Hoops and then Braves. Grant McCauley is going to join us to talk about the Braves as we get ready for their start to the season. By the way, big win for the Yankees in Houston. If there are any Yankees fans out there, nobody's a Yankee fan anymore. But in case you are, big win at whatever the juice bar. All right, let's get to Dallas, where our friend Brett Friedlander, SaturdayRoad.com ACC columnist, is joining us. My fault for getting out over my skis after Clemson beat Arizona last night, and telling basically everybody to eat it. The ACC is still king, and then of course Carolina does what Carolina did. But let's start with what you expect out of today. Your first game is State and Marquette. I know this is bringing people memories of '74. I don't think this State team is quite as good as that '74 squad. But why do you think the Wolfpack have a chance tonight?
Because they are riding a wave of momentum right now that I just have never seen. And as long as they call the game the way they have been calling it, and DJ Burns doesn't get into foul trouble, I think they got a puncher's chance, because I think that Casey Morcell will not hold down Tyler Kolek, but I think that he will make him either a shooter or a passer, and not both, which is what he is more, dangerous as. And I think they got a shot. If DJ Horn and somebody else comes through and can score, that's the formula. And as long as they stick to it, they got a shot.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I have there's so many things about this game that run through my mind. One, how does DJ Burns defend? How do they deploy him defensively? It's just going to be hard because of Marquette's versatility and the way they play. What is Mo Diarra going to be like? Because if it's the first game, like they've been playing late games, right? So it's the first game, and like the last time he could put anything in his body, like nourishment, was 6 hours ago. And he's got to make it all the way through, almost probably midway through the second half, before he can eat or drink anything. How is he going to deal with that? Where do they have to manage him in the first 30 minutes of this game, and then finding that secondary scoring that they're going to need to keep pace with more? There's a lot going on for State tonight.
Yeah, I would say that Ben Middlebrooks is going to be very important tonight, because if you look back to the only other game during this run in which they played an early game and Diarra was not able to hydrate or to eat until after the game started, was the Louisville game, the first game of the ACC tournament. And he only had, 4 points and a couple of rebounds in 18 minutes. So that is definitely a concern. And they're going to need him, because he's been great. He's been a rebounding machine. Yeah. But I think it's going to be incumbent upon Ben Middlebrooks to have a big game and to really play a very major role, because until Diarra is able to get something in him, and even if he does, how effective is he going to be? I mean, I was at the ACC tournament. I remember in one of those games, every TV timeout, they were feeding him bananas and Gatorade. Right. So they're not going to do that till the second half. So it's going to be tough.
I do that too, by the way. Yeah, for what that's worth. Whatever. Brett Friedlander is joining us, SaturdayRoad.com ACC columnist. Let's get to Duke, and then we'll talk about last night. The Blue Devils, and I think State has a legit chance to beat Marquette simply because of the way they are playing. And they look to me like the team I thought we were going to see for most of the season. We're finally starting to see them now. That doesn't mean that they're one of the top 16 teams in the country. It's just that when you play well, you have a chance to do what the Wolfpack are doing. Duke, they don't need Jared McCain to make 8 threes tonight. But it wouldn't hurt. But what they need is McCain and Roach and Proctor and even Kyle Filipowski to become real perimeter threats to open Houston up and draw them away and then become drivers.
Absolutely. And I think that Jeremy Roach is due for a good game. He has not played well since, I can't, is it the NC State game? The one right before the Carolina game that finished the regular season. He has not shot well since then, and you know he's better than that, and he's due for a good one. If Duke's guards can make shots, and it doesn't matter which of the three, but if two of those three make shots, and Filipowski stays out of foul trouble, and Mark Mitchell does what Mark Mitchell does, I like Duke's chances tonight, because this is a game that a team that Duke matches up well with. The teams that have given Duke trouble all year are teams with a dominant inside presence, a guy who can defend the rim and keep those guards from getting in there and scoring in close, and who can score at the rim. And Houston does not have that. And neither of the two teams that Duke has played up until now has had that. So I really like this matchup. And I think that I honestly think Duke is going to win. We'll see. I might be wrong. As my old boss Doug Mead used to say, always certain, but never right. But
well, look, I thought Carolina minus 4.5 was a great choice yesterday.
It should have been.
I mean, it should have. We're going to get to them in a second. Here's you talked about Houston's lack of inside presence. Their lack of defensive rebounding, coupled with Duke's ability to get to the offensive glass. Boy, we haven't really thought about a Duke, advantage in those terms in a big game in a long time. But to me, that's one of the formulas. And Duke did a little of this, right, throughout the season. If they can get free possessions, not only maybe do you get a quick putback bucket, but that's the best time to knock down threes.
Yep, the redirect. Kate was famous for that. Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody gave up on Duke the same way they gave up on NC State at the end of the regular season, but every tournament is a new entity. You start fresh. And I think that getting knocked out early at the ACC tournament may actually have been an advantage for those guys, because it gave them a chance to go back to the practice to kind of get, their heads right. Now, I don't know if Shire pulled the old Coach K trick of taking all the chairs and all the trophies, all the pictures of the old guys out of the locker room, but some tough love, and here they are. And who would have thought that NC State and Duke had a chance to go further, and NC State, Duke, and Clemson had a chance to go further in this tournament than Carolina.
Yeah, we're still not quite done with the disrespect us at your own peril, because there's work to be done tonight. It wouldn't be nearly as impressive if there's just one ACC team in the Elite Eight. It certainly would have been more impressive if there were four, and we all know what the odds are of even that number being three. But I keep getting back to Duke. Like, Carolina needed to rely on their defense, and we'll talk about them in a second. And Duke is a better offensive team than they are a defensive team. And if they're going to win this game, they still have to play good defense. But if Duke is going to win this game, they're going to win it because their offense was good. And I think so not turning the ball over. But
Adam, when Duke does defend, that's when they're really, really good.
Yeah.
Because you know that their offense is going to do what they do.
I agree that.
They defended really well.
Oh, there's no question about that. One quick thing about this game. Last year, a big, strong, not necessarily a tall, but a thick, older, physical team basically bullied them in Tennessee. And that's what Houston's going to try and do. How do they combat that?
Well, first of all, you have to show a little toughness back.
Right.
Because in the Carolina game and in the NC State game, they didn't do that. The old Roy Williams, you got to want to.
Right.
And, again, make shots. Make shots, and all of a sudden, they've got to defend you differently. They got to come outside. They got to, they just have to react. And if you can create a couple turnovers, get out in transition, and get a lead, now all of a sudden you're dictating the style of game. And if that's the case, then Duke's got a huge advantage.
All right, let's get to last night. And I know that you're in Dallas and the Tar Heels were in Los Angeles, but thoughts on why you think it happened the way it did?
There are a lot of reasons. First of all, I think you can go back to some of the other games that Carolina played this year. The Georgia Tech game, even the Tennessee game, where they just were great for the first half, took their foot off the accelerator. They just didn't have a killer instinct. And they had Alabama down by 8 in the second half, and they just couldn't put them away. And there were a couple of other things. First of all, what was Paxton Wojcik playing 9 minutes in the second half when Elliot Cadeau and Seth Trimble played a combined 9 minutes between them? What was Jalen Withers taking a three-pointer there when they really just needed to get it to one of your guys? There were a lot of things that happened in that game that shouldn't have happened, and I'm at a loss to explain it other than the fact that maybe they took Alabama lightly. Maybe they were reading the press clippings. Maybe they were looking ahead. I don't know. But R.J. Davis going 0 for 9 from the three-point line 2 hours after Caleb Love did exactly the same thing says to me a little bit that those two were looking, at playing each other and thinking about that and not at the task at hand.
So here's the thing. Like, I agree with you that it was curious to see Paxton Wojcik on the court for that much in the second half. The theory behind it was neither Cadeau nor Trimble are three-point shooting threats. Therefore, Hubert Davis wanted another shooter on the court to kind of make Alabama's defense react to that. But the only way that works is if you make that shooter a factor. And for my money, they really didn't. And then he becomes a defensive liability. And no matter how good a player he is overall, he becomes it's not what you are used to having. Elliot Cadeau, you could argue that for all as good as he was this year, maybe last night, even though he made a couple of threes early, that maybe last night wasn't his night. But Seth Trimble, to me, in a game where you needed to rely on your defense to win, that to me is the guy that I would have rather had on the court than Wojcik, because I think at the very least, Trimble gives you defense and athleticism, and he also gives you a driver that could maybe get to the free throw line, and they could have used both of those.
Yeah, and you know what, Adam, too? This is the most important game of the season. Your season is on the line. The championship you've been playing all year, and you go with your best players. And Hubert has really grown as a head coach over the last 3 years. I mean, it's on-the-job training, and he has gotten much better. He's the ACC Coach of the Year, for crying out loud. But I think that the learning process is still there, and I think last night was part of that. And there's a lot of people to blame, and it's one of those things.
You know who to blame? Alabama. Blame Grant Nelson for scoring 12 out of their last 14 points.
Blocking 4 shots.
Does he get a blocked shot for the block on the? He does. Good for him. He deserves it.
More along the lines of the one on RJ on the next to last possession.
No question. And look, Alabama played great, and that's the reason why UNC lost. That's Brett Friedlander. Enjoy tonight, man. I'll talk to you next week, I'm sure.
Anytime, Adam. Thank you.
You got it. That's Brett Friedlander, ACC columnist, SaturdayRoad.com, at B. Fried ACC. We had B. Geis and B. Fried today, and we have no B for Grant McCauley, who is going to join us here in a second as the Braves get ready to open up their season. The Braves are one of the best teams in baseball. They were rained out yesterday, and they will be on the field in Philadelphia today starting at 3 o'clock. Mets are 10 minutes away from opening up their season. I know we have Mets fans out there, too many Mets fans, to be perfectly honest. It is what it is, but it is. Oh, gosh. It's almost over. I saw where Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, said that he believes that they will be consistent winners. I'm glad you believe that. It's not all Mets fans believe that they will be consistent winners, mostly because they've never been. Other than that, sure. A team that has shown consistency in the winning department, the Atlanta Braves. Grant McCauley 92.9 The Game from the Diamond Podcast joins us on the Adam Gold Show. One day, we're supposed to do this yesterday, and then Mother Nature said, nah, we ain't playing on Thursday. We're going to play it on Friday. My sense is same level of optimism. What is the secret, Grant? Why can't the Mets do this?
Goodness. I don't know specifically for the other 29 teams what it would take to get each of them through their, hurdles or whatever the process is to put together what the Braves have. But I can tell you that the Braves have really tapped into, I think, the essence of building a club that, yes, has a ton of talent, but also plays so well together and is led in a way that you just have a feeling of consistency and continuity. And those are two things that are really hard to get, not just in baseball, but also in life. So I think once you're able to kind of tap into that and get into a window where you have that going, in addition to, again, can't understate it enough, a very talented team, a lot of winning can happen.
Yeah, in every sport, especially the way they build from within and then make judicious, smart additions from outside the organization. And I criticized, we'll start here. It's amazing we're going to talk about the Braves without starting with Ronald Acuna Jr. But when I criticized the move, because Freddie Freeman is one of them, right? He's the core. And then they allowed Freddie to go, and they bring in Olsen, right? And he fit in beautifully for less money, albeit it wasn't drastically less money, but it was less money and maybe a better defensive player. Not the hitter that Freddie Freeman is, but it just worked for the whole group. And so they were, they didn't hurt themselves too much. They saved themselves some money, which to some franchises matters at least a little bit. I think to the Braves it certainly does. But they've just been smart about everything they've done.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. But, I mean, even starting with that move in particular, I think that, there was some uncertainty based on the lockout and some of the other factors that had gone on, and clearly the shortened seasons and, changes in revenue that the sport was looking at that time, which I think we can all look at now and say, I think baseball is pretty healthy and looking to get even healthier. But specifically for the Braves and for Olsen, they got a player who's nearly 5 years younger as well to go through the prime of his career. So if you're able to get that player at the same or better value than you had with the previous player, there are a series of business decisions that have to be made. I know that one's been talked about an awful lot, but when you look at the bigger picture stuff, Matt Olson is one of 7 players signed to multi-year extensions that should keep this team together for most of this decade. If you look at who those 7 players are, Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Sean Murphy, Spencer Strider, Michael Harris. I mean, this is a laundry list of star-level players who have decided that, hey, we like playing together. We like winning together. We can go ahead and get paid, not have to do all this arbitration business. Bought out a couple of free agent years and really put themselves in position to, as you said, add from the outside where they need to and supplement and make the team better as they need to. And that really is what Alex Anthopoulos has been doing.
Grant McCauley from the Diamond Podcast, reporter 92.9 The Game. Braves open up the season in Philadelphia today. As, by the way, Philly's good. Braves are, not that people need to care about this, but the Braves are a slight favorite just even in the game in Philadelphia today. Let me, if I had to ask you, what is the one weakness that you think they have? What is it?
The only question that I had about the Atlanta Braves from the moment that they reported to spring training was, can they stay healthy? That is what all 30 clubs have to deal with at some point. The Braves have not been immune to that whatsoever. But when you look at the lineup that they have brought back, it was one of the best of all time. And that's not just, throwing just a heap of praise over recency bias or whatnot. This team slugged .501 last year, had 3 guys with more than 40 homers, had the major league home run leader, which, by the way, was Matt Olson, who was pretty darn good. The NL's unanimous MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr., and just mashed 307 home runs and in total. So the offense is there. That part's set. They feel really good about that. They changed something out in left field, bringing in Jared Kelnick. I think that's an upside play. That'll be interesting to see how it plays over the next 5 years. They knew they needed another starting pitcher. They went out and got Chris Sale. They believe he's going to be healthy. He's going to be able to contribute. They've got a staff led by Spencer Strider and a very, very good bullpen. I think one that could be perhaps one of, if not the best in baseball. There's just not a weakness for this club. They had a boring spring training in that you just didn't have very many questions to answer. So really, honestly, it's all going to come down, I think, to health for the Atlanta Braves. If they are able to keep this core, this contingent going all season long with very few, if any, interruptions, maybe make the trades or moves they need to make the club better in the season as that comes up. This is a team that, they know what they need to do. They know what they want to do, and they said it from day one of spring training. It is World Series or bust for the Atlanta Braves in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, boring spring training. So, I mean, did you just go to the beach, or what did you do? Crossword puzzles, Sudokus? How did you occupy your time?
Yeah, I mean, look, for the reporters, yeah, it's a lot easier because you're not trying to come up with what the storyline is for that particular day's game. But for the Braves, it was most of the position players there early in Northport, getting their work done before they were required to be there. And it's just kind of I think one of the hallmarks of this club is their dedication to the everyday grind that it takes to be as good as they are and to be where they need to be over the course of 162. There's an expectation amongst Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, all of these guys. They want to be in the lineup every single day. They're not looking for a platoon partner. They're not looking for days off. They're looking to be out there playing, and I think that is also a driving force of this club.
All right. Last year, I raised an eyebrow, and I forget who did it when they said that Ronald Acuna Jr. Might be the most talented Atlanta Brave of all time, and all I could think of was Henry Aaron played for the Braves, right?
Yeah. But it was Chipper Jones that said it.
Right. Now, you finished the thought. Chipper wasn't crazy.
No, he was certainly not. And I think that, there was a spring training, I believe it was 2016, where early on they need to do some infield drills. They bring over a couple of minor leaguers and have them run around, and, everybody goes through all the stuff to do the plays and get the spring training work out of the way. Well, Ronald Acuna Jr. was one of those young players who came over to run the bases. Chipper Jones on that day said, wow, we got to keep an eye on this kid. He's going to be something special. Then Ronald blitzed through the minor leagues in 2017, obviously 2018 Rookie of the Year, and we've seen what he's become after that. And, I know we get kind of caught up in the idea of the latest and greatest that I've seen. That's not going to take away from the legacy and the greatness of Henry Aaron, who I think is still somehow, crazy enough, underrated for what he did and what he was and
100%.
what he means to this game.
100%.
But long story short, and not to take up all of your time on this wonderful afternoon in which we look forward to seeing whatever Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to do this year, we are watching something special, and he is just now coming into the prime of his career.
Yeah, two things about Acuna. First of all, Aaron's beauty was his consistent excellence, right? It was. It wasn't like he was going to hit sick. He never hit. He never hit more than 50. He only he was right around 40 for most of his career, give or take. But it was he was consistently great. He was a way better defender than people give him credit for, and he was a way better athlete. People remember the end of Aaron's career when he was, he wasn't the fluid, twitchy athlete that he was earlier. But my gosh, was he a complete player back in the early part of his career. Here's the thing about Acuna that struck me as so awesome last year, what he did with his strikeout numbers, because he becomes unplayable for the rest of the league if he's making contact, because he is the ultimate five-tool guy. I hope that's not a one-off. What are your thoughts on that element?
No, I think that is who Ronald Acuna Jr. is, and the focus that it took to make that adjustment from a player that in, I believe, the 2020 shortened season struck out about 30% of the time. He trimmed it down to a 12% strikeout rate, just below, in 2023. One of the many reasons he won the MVP. And when I asked Alex Anthopoulos in spring training, what stands out the most about what Ronald Acuna Jr. has become and what he's doing and how he's doing it, and he said, we knew power, we knew speed, we knew a lot of different things about Ronald, but that strikeout rate dropping like that, we didn't have that on the sheet. We didn't think that was a possibility. Could it improve, incrementally year over year? Sure. But how many guys cut their strikeout rate basically in half or better than that inside of a couple of seasons? That's just the next level. And he led the Major League Baseball in hits, runs scored, total bases, stolen bases, the 40-70 thing. He's making his own clubs. It just goes to show that this is a guy that the talent is there. And in the non-Shohei Ohtani category of who's the best player in baseball, I'm really struggling to make a compelling argument for somebody being better than Ronald Acuna Jr. right now as we speak.
Yeah, because of the two-way, because he's such a good outfielder as well. There's just a handful of players that are in that category who can do it at both ends. There's him, maybe Juan Soto, who's now with the Yankees, who isn't quite thought of with a great arm, but is a very good player. Mookie Betts, who Dodgers are playing him at shortstop. Like we just don't have Mike Trout. Obviously, we don't have a long list of players that you would even put in his level. That's how good Acuna is. It, as a Mets fan, makes me angry that he has a below market value contract. I can't tell you how much that makes me angry, but that's fine. That's part of what the Braves are as a team. They have met like him, Ozzie Albies, Riley, Olsen. All these guys have team-friendly deals, even if there is a good, something in it for them too. It is brilliant the way they do their work. I am envious and appreciative of teams that do it right. And that's why, even as a Mets fan, I only hate the Cardinals. I can't even hate the Braves. It's amazing. I can't hate them. They are too likable of a team. And I appreciate your time. Grant McCauley, 92.9 The Game from the Diamond Podcast, at Grant McCauley on Twitter. Enjoy the opener. Enjoy the season. I know we'll be talking.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Grant McCauley here on the Adam Gold Show. It's true. I only hate the Cardinals.
Well,
by the way, they're going to be bad this year.
As a Cubs fan, I like it.
We should have we should get a Cardinal fan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah,
I know several. I have the only Cardinal fans we talk to are Cardinal fans I like.
Oh yeah, well.
I have a Mount Rushmore of Cardinals fans I like.
Well, I'm sure there's somebody
there's only
out there.
4.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's
only
more
4.
than 4 Cardinals fans, for sure.
Friend Steve Wiseman, who covers Duke for the NNO.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Mark from New Balance. Ryan Fagan used to cover baseball for the Sporting News.
Yeah.
And Ernie the Obvious.
Yes.
The only 4 Cardinals fans I like.
We love Ernie.
The only thing is,
no.
It's possible that there are people who I don't know are Cardinals fans that I like.
Right.
But then I would have to kick somebody off the Mount Rushmore.
Right.
Which, frankly, I don't feel
you don't want to
comfortable
do
doing.
that.
I don't want to do
yeah.
that. All right, so let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll stretch. We will place bets and get you ready for tonight. And maybe I'll be nice and buy you a win. Next. the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. I have, two questions. North Carolina. After Clemson upset Arizona, which was the front half of my parlay, you couldn't? You couldn't? Anyway.
No,
That's
they
one
couldn't.
question.
They couldn't.
My other question. Jake Gensel. We had the puck line right.
Mm-hmm.
Canes minus 1.5. We had the total right under 6.5.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know. I know.
Help a brother out. Help a brother out. And you know what was really funny? Is that I accidentally hit the same wager twice.
Oh, okay.
So I had it. One of them was for a higher output.
Return.
Yeah, because one of the odds changed somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh, no.
come on, Jay. And when he hit the post for the second time,
It stung.
the second one was the one that really got me.
Yeah.
And because I knew that as long as the score stayed 4-0, I knew they were not going to get much ice time in the third period.
Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, you knew it was coming. See, all I needed Jake to get was an assist, which he got too.
Got two of those.
I had a parlay with him in there. So thank you for doing that, Jake. You can never tell with these sometimes.
I'm going to stop shooting threes. I'm going to stop swinging for the fences.
See, that's what I try to do with anytime goal scores sometimes. And that really irritates me.
So bad at this. I hope people are not listening to anything I do. I hope it. I just hope you're not listening to me because it has not been it's not been good. All right, we'll get to that in a minute. First time, let's stretch.
Yes. So I'm excited because this is like a to be continued from yesterday's seventh inning because we had a lot of hot dog discussion. Well, this is part 2 of the hot dog discussion. You can be a, quote, wiener connoisseur to measure hot dogs at MLB parks. Yes.
Really?
And they are calling it that. I did not come up with that
wiener
myself.
aficionado.
Yes, and I feel like you have to do the whole chef thing, like the Italian.
So if you're a wine expert, you're like a sommelier?
Yeah, I
we
guess.
should come up with a word like that for
That'd be
hot
good.
dogs.
For the wiener connoisseur. So what they want you to do, this is an online gambling site called BetUSA, and they are looking for someone to visit all 30 Major League ballparks and check out the hot dogs. What they want you to do, they want you to taste them. They want you to also measure them to see which ones are different from the other. That's why you're that's why you're called this. I know, this is so many things. So this is not a full-time gig, however they say. It's a side hustle. I feel like someone who maybe is retired would be great for this. So what they want you to do, you don't have to foot the whole bill. They will buy you game tickets. They will cover your travel, and you will get $2,500. They'll also toss in a $500 gift card to MLBshop.com. And you get a subscription to MLB TV. So it's a pretty sweet deal.
All right, hold on one second. First of all, I'm measuring my hot dog.
Yes.
Okay.
You will be that person.
I just want to be able to say that out loud without getting slapped. So
Adam, what are you doing at the ballpark?
I'm measuring my hot dog. What are you talking about?
Hot dog.
Well, I'm not going to say wiener there. So
leave me alone.
It's terrible. They cover game tickets and travel.
Yes.
Not hotel.
No.
So you have to
sleep in your car.
You have to sleep in your car.
Yes. But you get $2,500, so you could spend that on a hotel if you want to.
Yeah, it's 30 ballparks.
I know. That'll go fast.
It's a lot. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to sleep at
It's
those
not a
hotels.
It's not a good financial deal.
No.
You keep your $500 gift card to MLB Shop.
Yeah.
And keep your MLB TV. You'd have to provide. You'd have to cover the accommodations as well.
What they should do is just
at least give you some money towards it.
Give this person an RV and let them travel in the RV, so that covers.
That would be good.
That would be good.
That would be worth
if
it.
you're
and a driver,
if you're so inclined, you can apply on their website, but you got to do it before April 18th.
Somebody to verify my hot dog measurements.
Yes, to be the wiener connoisseur. You have to enter your name, email, and a short pitch of why you're the most qualified person to
measure your
wieners.
hot dog.
Exactly.
Not
so,
my idea, people.
So go MLB season, but we've got some bets to place.
I hope
Place
so.
your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me.
I owe you nothing.
All right, I'm not talking about what didn't work yesterday, other than everything.
Yeah.
But we're getting it back today.
It's okay. Yes, we are. Put the good.
That's not the way to
juju
do
out
this,
there.
people. It's not. That's not the way to do this.
Don't chase the dragon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right.
However, I did go 3 for 3, and I'm sure I just jinxed myself with
Yes,
this.
you
I did go 3 for 3 last week with
I
my
should pay
MMA
attention
bets.
to you. Oh, MMA bets. Okay.
Yeah, my MMA bets, but they are in Atlantic City, of course, because why not? Gambling Central. And first up, I'm going to do Chris Weidman versus Bruno Silva. I don't like that. I love Chris Weidman. However, he has a titanium rod in his leg. I've talked about this in my MMA video, and I'll post it on our fan YouTube page, but I don't see it working out well for him. So give me Bruno Silva by knockout. It is minus money, minus 115, but if you put it in a parlay, it's still good.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. That's advice personified.
Yes.
All right, let's start with the Braves and Phillies today. All right. Philly is plus money at home.
Oh.
Plus 110 at home.
Wow.
I want Philly. I also want Matt Olson for an anytime home run at plus 360.
Okay.
But Philly at home is plus money.
Yeah.
Matt Olson,
Interesting.
anytime home run plus 360.
I'm not going to talk about my Braves bet that I have going. Now, next up, Verna Jandaroba versus Lupi Godinez. I love a Lupi fight. She's just so much. She's so fun. I think this one is going to go to decision. Lupi likes it that way, so I think it's going to happen. This is also minus 125, but again, put it in the parlay with the one I just said before.
There you go. That makes it worth it. Duke, outright winner, plus 160 over Houston tonight.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, ACC, good mojo. And last up, Aaron Blanchfield versus Manon Ferro. I think Blanchfield's going to win. She's going to try to go all 5 rounds, and she can do it. She's feisty and 10 years younger than Minot. So give me her, and she's plus 240 by the points.
Ooh. All right, just to win a decision, right?
Yep, just by decision.
All right, now, title bout at the Etihad. Arsenal has not won at City since 2015. That streak is over. It hurts me. Arsenal over City. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Hope everything is well in your world. Victoria producing the program. We are here on. We got one more solid hour. We're going to talk about the title bout coming up in just a few minutes. My friend Ryan O'Hanlon from ESPN will join us, and that's not just going to be the title fight coming up Sunday afternoon in relatively northwest England, but the U.S. men's national team won Nations League, and it looked like one Gio Reyna was playing a big role in doing all of it, and I think all of that is spectacular. But right now, it's time. Oh, by the way, at the end of the Wall of Sound, if you didn't already dislike Alabama just because they beat your team, you are going to dislike them even more.
Hold your beer.
In a second. But first, it's the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, let's get right to it, and we will start with some stuff looking ahead to today. Let's do that. We'll start with John Shire. When John Shire, the Duke head coach, when he looks at the Houston Cougars, who are the number one defensive team in the country, what does he see?
Well, I think anytime you look at a really good defensive team, but for Houston, look, they probably, if not the best defense in the country, they're right there. And you have to talk about their effort. Their effort is terrific. They have they make multiple efforts protecting the basket, defending in pick and roll, defending throughout the shot clock. They have really good one-on-one defenders. Obviously that's the best way you can break a defense down is by getting by. They make it hard on you to get by. And then when you do get by, there's going to be somebody else that's always there waiting to help. And so if you try to play disconnected or not together, they're going to make you look bad.
And that could happen. The number one key for Duke tonight, we could talk about everything. The number one key for Duke is poise. Handling Houston's physicality, dealing with the referees. I'm not saying they're going to get bad calls. This is not about bad calls. If the referees allow Houston to be physical, like the referees allowed Tennessee to be physical last year. Duke did not handle it well last year. You can't look for calls. You have to assume that they are not going to give you anything. How does Duke handle that? How does Duke battle through it? How do you fight through it? The two biggest reasons why North Carolina beat Duke wasn't that they were more physical, is that they were tougher than Duke. And when John Shire, after the second Duke-Carolina game, when he said, the good thing is that we control all of these things, and my response to that is, maybe you don't. Maybe the other guys are just tougher. Well, you're going to have to prove that you are tougher than Houston today. And if you can, then Duke's going to win the game. You're going to play through that. You're going to play through the contact. You're not going to shy away from those situations. They need Jeremy Roach to play a monster game. He doesn't have to go for huge points. He just has to be the leader that he is supposed to be. All right, now let's go to Armando Bacot and talk about the way the season came to an end. This was not the way it was supposed to end. But, man, it was a great year. It just didn't work out at the end.
Yeah, I'm definitely hurt, and, I think we all are a little shocked. We don't underestimate any opponent, and I think today, it was tough, but all year we play hard, and today we play hard, and they just made more shots than us, and it's tough. Losing is not the result we want, especially with just how talented we are as a team, and felt like we had a chance to win the national championship this year, but I wouldn't change anything that happened all year. It was a special year just with teammates, coaches. It was just for me personally, a restored sense of funness. Just my love for the game just grows so much. I'm going to miss everything about just being with this team, the coaches. I've been knowing this is the last time I'll play for them. It definitely hurts.
All right, now as head coach, Hubert Davis, on what Armando and R.J. Davis have meant to the program.
You couldn't ask for them to be as successful as they have been for 4 and 5 years, respectfully, at the same institution. Their commitment to Carolina, their commitment to this program and the community, those are the things that my hope is talked about more, about guys staying committed to the process. And not just RJ and Armando, but also Cormac. You got, Cormac and Harrison and Jay Witt and Pax and James, and you've got guys that come in here as transfers and they dove right into what this place is all about.
All right, now I promised I was going to make Tar Heel fans even more angry at Alabama than you might already be. And credit to the Crimson Tide. They played a great game, and Nate Oates is an outstanding basketball coach. But I saw some people questioning why he would say what he said after the game, and here is Nate Oates, Alabama's coach, in the locker room to his team.
We're one win away. All right, and guess what? The fellas in Chapel Hill, Jared, they don't have practice tomorrow.
The fellas in Chapel Hill, they don't have practice tomorrow. Now,
rude.
No, but that's Nate Oates,
Yeah.
okay? And I have news for people. It sucks to hear, but he's talking to his own team, right?
Yeah.
It goes public, yes. He's talking to his own team. And that team deserved the fun. Fun for them.
Yeah, they won.
Hurts for all of us because we wanted North Carolina to advance. But that's Nate Oates. Nate Oates did this similar, not quite the same thing, about Duke and Coach K 3 years ago. Ultimately came out and apologized. And I remember Nolan Smith, who is, was an assistant coach at Louisville under Kenny Payne for a couple of years. I remember Nolan Smith being really upset about it because Coach K had been good to Nate Oates, had kind of, given him some advice on some stuff, and Nolan Smith thought that was pretty low. Nate Oates is brash. All right. Was that rude? Yeah. But ultimately, he's just talking to his team. So we can't get too bent out of shape over that. All right, the Wolfpack tonight against Marquette. Now, this is not about Marquette. This is a question as to why'd you guys wait so long to become this good?
I think we had our moments. And if you look at our team in different segments, you would say, man, they were good. We remember we started off the ACC season 5-1, and then I think we had a couple of rough spots. And it's weird. We brought in 8 different guys, and I think it took a little longer than I thought. We played well early, and then in between, I thought we were just okay, and then we kind of found our stride once we got into March a little bit. So it's weird. It's a good question, but like I said, we had some moments, and then we kind of turned it around.
I agree with 100% of that. 5-1 start to the league. They did look good early. Blew out Virginia at PNC Arena for what that's worth. Went to Clemson and won a game at Little John, which is a tough place to play, and we see what Clemson's doing right now. And look, was I optimistic? Was I maybe too optimistic about this team? But I thought all year long there was no reason why they couldn't be in the mix for one of the top 4 spots. Look, Carolina was far and away the best team. Duke was in the second tier by themselves. After that, Clemson or anybody could have gotten the 4th. And Clemson didn't even get a double bye. That was Virginia and Pitt that got the double byes. But there's really no difference between what the Wolfpack put on the court and all but two of the other teams in the league. So I'm surprised that after everything we saw, that they have now won 7 in a row. Yeah, of course, everybody should be surprised at it. But if you had told me 2 months ago that the Wolfpack would be a Sweet 16 team, I would have gone, yeah, I can see it. Because I thought they were good. I thought they were good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. They just didn't play well enough during the course of the year to deserve the spot without doing what they did in Washington. But this is a team that belongs, I think, where they are. Good for them. Go get Marquette. Go out and get it.
Yeah, I hope they do. It's fun.
So
They're fun to watch.
bonus, place your bets. I'm buying it. I'm buying it.
Yes.
Marquette on the money line.
Okay.
See what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
Buying
Little
it.
reverse. Mhm.
Buying it. All right. When we come back, title fight. Arsenal at City. Just indulge me for a second. Ryan O'Hanlon, ESPN.com, next. The Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria is producing the program. I said earlier today we were going to talk about a title fight, and Victoria thought, is he going to talk MMA?
I know.
And
I got excited.
You knew the answer to that was no.
I know.
But I do believe it is a title bout at the Etihad tomorrow. By the way, it'll be on WRAL TV5 at 11:30 Eastern Time. Ryan O'Hanlon from ESPN covers the beautiful game. It is Arsenal at City. The last time Arsenal won at the Etihad was 2015. I think they snapped the streak, even though Rodri is going to play for City. Thanks for the time. What say you?
For me, Arsenal winning a big game is still a very much I'll believe it when I see it situation. We were in this pretty much the same position last year.
Right.
Arsenal at City right around the same time in the season, and Arsenal got absolutely annihilated by City. They are much better this year, but I think it's with these kind of things, I think it's City's done it so many times. I know I'm not the kind of person that usually says things like this, but I'm not going to put my lot in with Arsenal until it actually happens.
I understand what you needing to be proven, right? I get it. Here's to me the difference between Arsenal this year and Arsenal last year. And by the way, as a Liverpool fan, it hurts me to say this because I think if Arsenal wins this match, I think the race is over. I think they run this all the way out. Granted, everybody will probably drop points somewhere, but I think they'll cancel each other out, and Arsenal will have that goal differential, which will be enough. But the difference between Arsenal this year and Arsenal last year is this year they're not banged up, they're not worn out. They have Declan Rice, and they're the best defensive team in the sport. And I don't believe City is even close to the team that they were. For health aside, I don't think they're even close to the team they were a year ago. I just think there are so many things working in Arsenal's favor. The only thing that isn't is that we haven't played a league match in 2 weeks, and I don't know why the league schedules this game after an international break. They did that with City and Liverpool too.
Yeah, the Premier League scheduling, just as a whole, continues to baffle everyone on a weekly basis, I would say. But, I mean, I think, here's what I'll say. I think it's pretty much indisputable that Arsenal have been the best team in the league so far.
Mm-hmm.
The Premier League table would tell you that. Obviously, they're tied with Liverpool, but they have the best goal difference because they have the most goals scored and the most goals against. So whenever a team is doing that, I think I'm going to, side with them as the best team. But it's more of a question of, are they going to continue to be the best team? And I think you're being way too overconfident in how the rest of the season is going to play out.
Sure.
Like Arsenal could still be the best team for the rest of the season, but the schedules are different. Weird stuff happens on a soccer field over a 10-game stretch.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I do think that Arsenal have experienced the healthiest season to their key players of the three teams in the title race. While City will have Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, and Rodri for this game, they didn't have Rodri or De Bruyne for the first game against Arsenal. Liverpool's entire team, basically every core player other than Virgil van Dijk, has been injured for a significant amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that taking in sort of the internal improvements of talent availability that we'll see for Liverpool and City, I think that there's a good case that either of those teams could also be the best team from here on out.
Oh, there's no question. I think Jurgen Klopp said it today. Ryan O'Hanlon of ESPN at RWOhan on Twitter joining us. Jurgen Klopp said it today. You need to play well. B, you need to get lucky. And you absolutely have to get lucky, whether it's a call. Like, there's really, still don't understand how Jeremy Doku that wasn't a penalty. In the box, studs to the chest of Alexis McAllister. I guess that was in stoppage time. I don't understand why that's not an automatic spot kick, but whatever. And City has gotten the best end of those deals. I remember the last City-Arsenal match. I think Mateo Kovacic committed a crime twice during that match with only getting one yellow card. He should have gotten 3 yellows and a crimson and an orange. I don't get it, but a lot of it does come down to luck and maybe a little mood. But I am prone to definitive statements, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, would you have a radio show
right.
if you were it?
So, and by the way, about Liverpool, they have been incredibly banged up, and I don't know if people aren't giving them credit for that, but they've been kind of fortunate that guys like Connor Bradley and Gerald Kwanzaa have become like reliable senior team players as opposed to just can you spot us for 10 minutes in a match, against Atalanta in the Europa League. First of all, you like City in this match?
I mean, the game's at the Etihad, and
right.
I think home field advantage. I mean, City has probably the lowest home field advantage of any team in the league, which you could then spiral off of that thought and ask a lot of other questions about Manchester City and how they function as an organization, but we're not going to get into that.
Right.
But they still are better at home than they are on the road, like every team in the league. Home field advantage is a huge deal in soccer from a game-to-game basis. So you look at the betting market, City are decently favored to win the match, I guess I would say.
They are.
So,
they're minus money. They're minus money.
Yeah.
Arsenal's still plus 280 right now, which I think is a great value bet. By the way, it's very possible that I could be purposely wagering against my own interest here. All right, so let me move. I wanted to ask you about the U.S. men's national team and the Gio Reyna show we saw for the 2 matches in the semis and the finals of Nations League. Does this prove that Reyna is maybe their most, other than maybe Tyler Adams, their most important player?
I don't think so. The Jamaica game was
awful.
Obviously, it was incredibly frustrating, but it's just hard to play soccer when the other team scores a goal 30 seconds into the game, and that is sort of a defensive issue that you gave up a goal that early into the game.
Right.
But it makes it just so much harder to attack when the other team can just sort of organize, not even worry about trying to score. That at the international level, it's harder to press. It's harder to develop patterns in possession. So it's just harder to break teams down at the international level. So I think with the U.S., to me, I think Reyna should just stop playing club soccer and just be a full-time U.S. player just to ensure that he stays healthy.
Right.
And we don't have to even talk about what is Gio Reyna's true level. Obviously that's not going to happen, but it wouldn't be the worst thing for U.S. soccer. I think with the U.S., Pulisic is just the most important player because he's so reliable, always out there, always kind of, at worst, he'll get fouled 15 times in a game. That's the worst outcome you get from Pulisic, which is still pretty good. You're getting 15 free kicks out of it. And you just, he's just the most consistent performer. So I think we really haven't seen the U.S. perform at a high level without Pulisic on the field.
Right.
We've actually seen them perform at a high level without Reyna, without Tyler Adams. So, crazy, take by me that Christian Pulisic is the most important U.S. player, given that he's the best U.S. player ever. But that's where I'm gonna plant my flag.
You're probably right here. I wish that Reyna had gone to La Liga or to Ligue 1 and not to the Premier League because it's just too physical a game. He's still 21. He needs time to grow into a body and just develops more strength and more durability. But man, he's got creativity that the United States sorely needs. Ryan O'Hanlon from ESPN at RWOhan on Twitter. I thank you so much, man. Appreciate your time on this Title Bout Friday.
Always happy to come on.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. Ryan O'Hanlon here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, when we come back, Chris Lee is going to join us from Dallas, Duke, and State, all in Big D. Hopefully we get big W's out of Big D. And then tell me if this isn't a scam, Victoria. You're retired, you love baseball and you go work as an usher for the Durham Bulls for a season, basically so you can watch baseball but also write a book.
Oh, I thought you were going to use the wiener connoisseur.
I'm not going to bring it up with this gentleman. But yes, is that a scam?
Yeah, sounds like
You get paid to watch baseball?
Yeah.
You're an usher at
Lucky
a ballpark.
duck. Yeah.
There's your seat right there.
Mhm.
I'm watching the game.
Here's a hot dog.
Yeah, I'm watching the game. Anyway, we have all of that coming up next. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. 8 ACC teams advanced to the Sweet 16. One has already moved through to the Elite 8. It was the wrong one, but congratulations to Clemson. Anyway, Charles Barkley said congratulations to Dabo Swinney. It was a joke, but, I mean, way to go, Charles. Tonight, NC State will take on Marquette. They've got a chance to get to an Elite 8. My gosh, when was the last time they were there? I have to look that up.
Yeah.
And then Duke, who has been to an Elite 8 as recently as, 5 years ago, 19, right? The Zion Williamson team that lost to Michigan State. And Chris Lee is in Dallas with both the Wolfpack and the Blue Devils, and he joins us for a couple of minutes. All right, just kind of set the scene for me as best you can with mood, how these teams, and how we got here. Let's just start with what the vibe is around NC State.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. I want to remind you, though, Duke was in the Elite 8 2 years ago.
That's
with
right.
The K's last year, so they got to the Final Four.
They were in the Final Four. They're a Final Four team, Chris.
Yep.
Why am I that old that I can't remember that things leave my brain so quickly?
It's not that you're that old. You've just seen so much in sports that it's just crowding everything.
That was actually a poor cover for me, but that's fine. How I forgot that is just mind blowing to me. I definitely yes, I need to reevaluate. All right, continue.
All good. It happens to the best of us, and you're the best of the best.
No,
so
stop it.
Okay.
Just stop. Obviously not.
No, but the vibes are pretty good. Of course, NC State wants to continue their magical run. And now they're here, it's not just about being the underdog and shocking people and things like that. They believe that they belong here. They believe that they belong here all along. A few players in the locker room yesterday told me that basically they feel like a lot of the games that they lost came down to just a few possessions, which is very true if you go back and look at a lot of their games, and that they hadn't learned how to win together. And the last, couple of weeks or so, that's one of the things that they've decided to get better at is just learning how to win together, play to their strengths, and, just kind of getting better with that. And it looks like they've done a pretty good job with that. For Duke, their last game that they lost was against NC State in the ACC tournament. Of course, they lost the game before that to UNC. And then last week, all of a sudden they looked really dominant. Yeah, against Vermont. Yeah, against JMU. But those were some of the best Duke games defensively, and of course JMU, one of the best Duke games offensively that we've seen from them this season. So their whole thing is look, when we are playing our game, we're best. There's not a lot of people who can beat us, and they feel like their last couple of losses, they just didn't show up. They were too worried about the opponent, and now they're saying that they're worried about themselves, and that's what's going to give them their edge against Houston.
There are two things. Chris Lee is joining us from Dallas. State will go first. We'll get to them in a second since we kind of expounded on Duke a little bit. Let's just stay with that. A few things that Houston doesn't do well that should play into the Blue Devils' hands. One, I don't think the fact that they play so slow will hurt Duke. Duke's not a super fast team to begin with. Duke does not play with great pace. But Houston is not good defending the three-point line at all. They allow tons of offensive rebounds, and they put teams on the foul line like it's fun. Like that's what they're trying to do. And they are among the worst in the country at defensive rebounding, free throw rate defensively, and three-point defense. Those seem like three things that Duke theoretically should be able to exploit.
Yeah, and this is a game that, could either be, literally feast or famine for Duke in a way. And I hate to use that cliche, but it really could be that type of game for them. Just mainly because, Houston also, what they said to me yesterday, too, is they remind them of Tennessee, the team that they played last year, who eliminated them in the round of 32. And because of how physical they are and because of how they just kind of take it to you. So if Duke can figure out a way to go past that, you're right. All those things that you named could really go into their advantage, especially having Jared McCain playing the way he's been playing. One of the things he said to me is that he's been talking to his psychologist, and his psychologist was telling him to be like water, just to let the resistance come to him and let it flow off of him,
right,
and just play his game. So, getting basketball, knowledge from a psychologist, didn't think I'd ever hear that, but here we are. Jared McCain is that's what he's doing tonight against Houston.
If you think about it, though, that's not a terrible way to think, because what will water always do? It will find its way in and do damage. Always.
Yes.
No, you cannot protect yourself from enough water, from the flow of water. Let me get to the Wolfpack. In a very similar way, Marquette, not great at defending the three-point line, not great at defensive rebounding. Maybe this is, and I thought State, there were times this year where they didn't even need threes, where they used the offensive glass to create more possessions. And you say they're kind of, they don't want this Cinderella run to end. At some point, they look around and go, "We're not Cinderella. We're just good," right?
Yeah, and that's pretty much how they feel. And here's another thing to look out for, too. Marquette is really known for their guard play right now. They're not really known for how well they are in the paint. And as well as Mohamed Diarra, DJ Burns, and Ben Middlebrooks have been playing as of late and learning how to bounce off of each other depending on, which combination is on the floor at the same time. That could be the demise of Marquette, especially if NC State's able to control the boards and also kind of get their pace down low and control the pace of the game. So I actually think this is a very favorable matchup for NC State. And this is only going to help them build their confidence. And, we've seen just 2 weeks ago at the ACC tournament, if this is a confident team, if they feel like they can, play very well, they're just going to have that roll over into the next game. So, whether it's Duke or Houston, I feel sorry for whoever has to play a NC State team if they make it to the Elite Eight.
Well, I think we'll all be here for a Duke-NC State Part 3. I mean, I'm positive that we will all relish that idea, and I think both teams would love it. I really do. I think it would be awesome. We talk so much about Duke and Carolina. It would be tremendous if NC State was involved in one of these, and maybe in some ways some validation that what we have seen is not just a run, but that it is a legitimately good team just playing well, because I kind of think that that's really what they should have been most of the year. Let me ask you real quick before we have to say goodbye to Chris Lee, WRAL TV5, and at Chris Lee TV on Twitter. I've mentioned it as often as I can because I think it's a major factor. Mo Diarra has been so good in so many ways, defensively, blocking shots, getting rebounds, knocking down big shots, running the floor. But it's Ramadan, and he is devout, and he couldn't eat from sun up until sundown today. Nothing. Is there any way that NC State can combat that? Are they even allowed? I don't even. You might not even know this. Are they allowed to use like IV fluids? How are they combating this?
So that I don't know about that, and maybe that's something I could kind of get into tonight and see if I can get some of those answers. But we've seen as of late, Kyrie Irving also, who's a devout Muslim, and he's had some pretty good games lately for the Dallas Mavericks. And yeah, we're in Dallas right now, so I'm wondering if he's going to take some of those cues from Kyrie Irving. But no, Mo Diarra has been really good, and I had a chance to speak with him briefly yesterday, and he was saying how NC State is just the perfect system for him to show all of his skill set. So he's definitely coming into this game with some of his highest confidence that he's had in his basketball playing career. So it's I would definitely expect a big game from him as well tonight.
Man, watching him has been tremendous. I am ready for them to advance NC State and Duke in the bracket and have one of those two teams head to a Final Four. That would be utterly Amazing. As you are, Chris Lee, WRAL TV5 at Chris Lee TV. Let me give you a plug. What do you have planned? Do you have anything planned yet for the news coming up, since I know I disturbed you?
All good. You got me right as I got out the shower, so I'm good. So
even a better visual for people.
No, I'm going to have some live shots at 5 and 6 o'clock on WRL. Had a chance to speak with DJ Horn's parents earlier today. Caught up with them, and they're wonderful people. And I got a chance to learn a little bit more about Gladys Horn. Gladys Horn is a family member. They consider a family member. It's actually their RV that they put thousands of miles on. But since DJ has been in college, first at Illinois State, then at Arizona State, they've been using that RV to go everywhere to visit him. And so I'm going to have a little bit more on that. You can learn a little bit more about Gladys and the Horn family at 5 o'clock on WRL.
Excellent. All right. So now, as we say goodbye, I will tell you that it has been since 1986 since the Wolfpack have been to the regional final. They defeated Iowa State in the Sweet 16 and then lost to Kansas in the 1986 regional final.
Do you know what happened just a few weeks after that?
If it's the same thing, yes. Are you thinking about Len Bias?
No, I was talking about that's when I was born.
So my gosh!
So what you just said, that happened literally a few weeks before I was born.
So the conversation that we were having earlier, where I was saying I'm old, therefore I almost get a pass for not remembering that Duke was in the Final Four 2 years ago. You've just completely screwed that up, because now you've just made me feel older. But anyway,
sorry about that.
It's fine, man. You're awesome. I appreciate your time.
All good. We know it's been 38 years now, and I'm a few weeks from our 38th birthday, so cool. We've got some good stats in.
You're tremendous. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it, man.
All right, thank you, man.
You got it. Chris Lee at Chris Lee TV on Twitter. Yeah, so 85 and 86, the Wolfpack were in the regional final. No Final Four since 1983.
Wow.
So
we should change that this year.
That would be awesome.
That would be great.
Even at the expense of Duke, it would be absolutely awesome. Duke's been there before, as we just found out. They were, never mind. Here's the thing about the Wolfpack, and people know this by now. Marquette was the team that they beat to win the title in 74. Houston, if they were to beat Duke, was the team they beat in 83. It would be tremendous to do that. This just would add to the Hollywood story here, because at the ACC tournament, there are 6 schools that have won national championships that currently play in the ACC. 6. NC State obviously being one. Louisville, Syracuse, Duke, Virginia, and North Carolina. And those are the 5 teams State beat on their way to winning the ACC tournament, their first in 37 years. If they were to also somehow beat Marquette and Houston, Tim Peeler should write the book right now.
He should.
So, my man Tim. All right. With all of that said, it is not only opening day yesterday in Major League Baseball, but the minor league season starts today as well. And I thought this was at least interesting to me. Dr. Harris Cooper I'm reading this directly from a bio, people, because it's going to take a while. The Hugo L. Bloomquist Distinguished Professor of Psychology and Neuroscience Emeritus at Duke University. He has been the chair of 2 departments, Dean of the Social Sciences for the College of Arts and Sciences, and he is a multiple author. This book is called Finding America in a Minor League Ballpark. He spent a year as a game day host at Durham Bulls Athletic Park, which sounds to me a little like a scam, just to watch a lot of baseball and meet people.
I beg your pardon.
I mean, it's perfect. It is a great
is.
idea.
It is.
I'm sure because you are a obviously a baseball fan from way back. I'm trying to remember the gentleman who did it, but he spent a year, an entire baseball season, going from ballpark to ballpark, trying baseball food, and he wrote a book about it. Which
that's right.
That's the biggest scam ever to have a publisher pay for all that. But
if I remember correctly, he was a high school teacher in Seattle.
Yeah.
And he bought an RV, and the name of the book was Dodger Dogs to Fenway Frank.
100% correct. Absolutely. Yeah. I loved reading everything about that book. As a matter of fact, I just saw somebody on Twitter mention that the Mets will have the best ballpark food once again in Major League Baseball. And as a Mets fan, I went, well, we have to give people some reason to go to the games.
Yes, I know. I'll forgive you for being a Mets fan, by the way. I know you grew up in Queens.
I was born there,
I grew up in the Bronx, about 3 blocks from Yankee Stadium. So, you know, we can still be friends. I still have friends from Queens, so that I'll forgive you for that.
Let's dig into this book a little bit. I'm smiling from ear to ear. This is so great, and the baseball season's not far off. The minor league season will begin in a couple of weeks as well. So, what other than just your love of baseball, what made you want to turn what is a love into what is obviously kind of an academic pursuit?
Well, it was first a love. We lived here a long time. I recently retired. We had gone to see the Duke play because Duke spent about 2 seasons. They're not playing over there this year, right. Playing at DBAP, and we went to see a game. It was still February. It was 50 degrees out. There might have been 800 people in a stadium built for 10,000.
Right.
And the HR director for the Bulls saw me walking down the concourse, and she walked up and she said, "Would you like to be a host?" And I said, "No, not really." But she handed me a card, and I couldn't throw it away. I set it down on my desk. 2 weeks. I finally emailed her, and she said, "Give them a call, or get online and fill out a application." I did it. I got the phone call. "Can you stand for 4 hours?" Not on one leg, but I can stand for 4 hours. And then I went in, took it, and like they say, the rest is history. But by the way, what you said about a scam, it is most of the people who are hosts,
right,
are folks like me. Not a majority, but a plurality of the folks who do it. And you know, you go to a ball game, you see they're old guys. And in the elevator going up to the first day orientation, I was in the elevator with a guy who said to me, "I was going to buy a season's ticket anyway. So what the hell? Let them pay me."
It's perfect. I said, I used to host a golf show on Saturday mornings, and we used to do this feature. I would tape however often I could, called Tour de Course, where we just drove around and played golf courses and did an interview with the head pro, and they would let us play for free. And there was a total. I didn't even hide it. It was a complete scam. I financed several golf trips that way.
Yes, but you also got some really good interviews.
Oh, of course
it wasn't. And I did my job.
Right.
I did my job.
Oh, this is great, Dr. Harris
I love
Cooper.
doing my job.
So look, we don't want to give away too much of the book. I want people to go read it. It's called Finding America in a Minor League Ballpark. Did you consider any other minor league ballpark?
No, this is the Bulls. Not only how could I live 15 minutes from the ballpark, and the team that is best known minor league, obviously best known. And the year that I did it, which wasn't last year, the year before, they actually won the AAA crown.
I mean, they
so it
always
was
win the AAA crown, don't they?
Yeah, they got close last year. Something went a little wrong last year.
They always win. All right, I want to mention one of your other book because this it kind of backs my theory that this might be a scam. And I mean, these are the things that kind of come up.
I deny all allegations. I'm sorry.
Dr. Harris Cooper, I appreciate your time. This is just utterly incredible. I can't stop smiling. Finding
you
America.
Can't wait to retire now, right? So you can do it.
Yeah, believe me, I've thought about the way to make retirement work for me. Finding America in a minor league ballpark, a season hosting for the Durham Bulls. Harris Cooper. If you go to findingamericabaseball.com, you can purchase a signed copy. I thank you so much for doing this. I want to talk again.
Thank you for having me.
So there's more of that interview. We recorded that, I think it was late last week. It was late last week when we recorded it. So there's more of that interview on the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast. He's a wonderful guy. The book is an absolute breezy, great read. So if you are somebody who loves to go to Durham Bulls games, and I know there's a lot of people listening who do, go check it out. Retired professor at Duke. But it is a scam. It's a total scam. The other book, which through the editing process it's basically Finding America through a whiskey glass. So, and it's
another
actually
scam.
It is a scam, but that one actually gives you, if you like hosting dinner parties, it gives you a menu. So seriously, good idea.
Wow,
super idea. So go check it out, and you can find all of that at the website that was given. Tremendous stuff. I appreciate Dr. Harris Cooper for joining us. We're big base. We love all sports here. We love basketball. We've got State and Duke tonight, trying to get to the Elite Eight. We love football. We've got Arsenal at Manchester City. Liverpool with a big match at home against Brighton. We talked a little bit about what I believe is the match that will decide the title today. It doesn't have to decide the title for the winner of that match. Liverpool is an interested bystander in that. Liverpool could go top if it's a draw or if City wins. But we're also baseball fans here. And this is kind of a disturbing story. Braves manager Brian Snitker, his family, did not go to the game or did not go to Philadelphia for the opener. Snitker called out Phillies fans in spring training for what he said was objectionable behavior. Duh, Philly fan. And, well, they proved him right. So enough was said that they have decided not to go.
Yikes.
That is, and this is not just Philly fan, right? This happens in a lot of places. That's the kind of stuff that, man, we just need more adults. We need more people who don't feel like you can say and act however you want. We just do. Like, these are just games. I know they mean a lot. They're not just games, but that's all they are. We just need more courtesy. All right. Victoria, I'm feeling good about Duke and State tonight.
Yes.
Right? I'm feeling good about that. And tomorrow, the playoff-bound Carolina Hurricanes will take on the Montreal Canadiens in Montreal. Look forward to that. Thank you very much. See everybody on Monday.